Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
We begin, as we often do, with a nigun, a yai lai lai melody. We don't need any words other than yai lai lai. So I invite you to join me in singing if you feel comfortable and able. Yai la lai 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 la lai 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 la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 la lai lai lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai lai lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai lai.
Shabbat Shalom. We welcome you and we welcome those who are joining us via our live stream. It is wonderful to be together as we welcome in Shabbat. We welcome in this evening of joy and rest and peace. As we light our Shabbat candles, we'll turn to page 2 as we kindle these lights and add a little bit of extra spark, extra light to our world.
I invite you to join me in singing on page 2. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
It's taught that when we light our Shabbat candles, that the two Shabbat candles represent Zachor and Shamor, to remember and observe Shabbat. And tonight, on the heels of the holiday of Yom HaShoah, of Holocaust Remembrance Day, followed by Yom HaTzmaut, Yom HaZikaron, the Memorial Day, and Independence Day in Israel coming up early next week, we think about this idea of what it means to Zachor, what it means to remember. So I'll invite you to mull that over as we continue with our service, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the service together. We'll turn to page 10, words of Hine Matov, how good it is to be together.
Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
We'll turn to page 20 in the Kabbalah Shabbat section of our service. the receiving or welcoming in of Shabbat, as we imagine that we welcome in the Sabbath bride, the Sabbath queen, with the words of Lecha Dodi, page 20.
This setting of Lecha Dodi, subtitled Lincoln's Nigun, was specifically written for verses 8 and 9, which are found at the bottom of page 21 in your prayer books. So we'll sing the refrain at the top of page 20, as well as verses 8 and 9 on page 21. Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Yamin usmo tifrotzi vet Adonai taritzi al yarish ben partzi ven simcha ven nagila Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam b'simcha uv'tzohola toch emunei hamsegula Boi chala Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela Lecha Dodi likrat kala pnei Shabbat nekabela
We welcome in each other into our sanctuary, into our Shabbat time and space. And we welcome in what are said to be the ministering angels that dwell with us on this Shabbat. We'll turn to page 24. Shalom Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barechuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. מי מלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We'll turn to page 28 as we are called together as one community in worship. The words of the Baruch Hu. You may rise in body or spirit. Page 28.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai. Baruch hu et Adonai hamevorach. Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam va'ed.
You may be seated. We'll read together on the top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. We turn to page 34, Shema Yisrael, the declaration that God is one.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
We'll chant together the words of Ve'ahavta, you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your being. Page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
In this section of our service, we recite words that come from our Torah. Shema Yisrael, continuing with the words of the Ve'achavta, and into the words of Mi Chamocha, which come from the Song of the Sea, the section of our Torah where we read about the exodus of the Israelites from Egypt. And it's a reminder that each and every day we remember this story. And we think and consider about how our freedom and what our freedom means to us today. And as I said at the beginning of the service, that we marked Yom HaShoah on Tuesday, we'll mark Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day, and Yom HaTzmaut, Israel's Independence Day, later this week, Monday and Tuesday. And we consider what freedom means to us in that context, what we consider it means to be free people, and what that means today in Israel as well. And obviously there is so much going on in Israel with the issues of democracy being threatened. And we pray each and every day that we remember what freedom feels like and continue to fight for that and fight for the democracy, both here and Israel, that we hope to live in. We'll turn to page 40, the words of Mi Chamocha, our song of freedom, hope, and redemption.
Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Mi chamocha ba'enim Adonai, mi kamocha nehedar b'kodesh, nora tehilot osefele, nora tehilot osefele. Malchutecha uvanecha, bokea yam livnei Moshe uMiriam, ze Elianu ve'ameru, ze Elianu ve'ameru. Adonai yimloch le'olam le'olam va'ed. Adonai yimloch le'olam le'olam va'ed.
We turn to page 42, the words of Hashkivenu, as we pray that a Sukkot Shalom, a shelter of peace, descends and spreads over all of us, over all of Israel, and over the entire world.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things, O Adonai. Keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Amen.
We transition now into our Amidah, or our standing section of our service, where we offer these words of tefillah, these words of prayer. We'll turn to page 46. Please rise in body or spirit as we say, Adonai sevatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Adonai sevatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Page 48.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, Vekone HaKol, Vezocher Chazdei Avot V'imachot, Umevi Gehula Livnei V'neihem, Lema'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magin, Baruch atah Adonai, Magin Avraham V'ezrat Sarah.
On the top of page 53. Days pass and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence, like lightning, illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim and wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Blessed is the Eternal One, the Holy God. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may be seated. We'll pause now for a moment of your own private meditation and reflection. We'll join together again on page 62.
Middle of the page, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, Adonai. Yiyu leratzon imrefi v'egyon libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, v'goli, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, v'goli.
In honor of the State of Israel's 75th birthday and Yom Ha'atzmaut, a prayer for Israel by Rabbi Peter Stein. Adonai Eloheinu Mekor Tikva, eternal our God, source of hope, we raise our voices today in celebration. We raise our voices today in concern. Our ancient and ever-evolving home is filled with hope and possibility. It is filled with danger and despair. From the moment you called forth Sarah and Abraham, we have had a sacred bond. each generation going up to the land in their own fashion. Adonai Eloheinu Mekor Tikva, eternal our God, source of hope. Strengthen us as we raise our voices and do the hard work of tikkun, of repair. Give us courage and wisdom to pursue peace for all the inhabitants of the land. Let us forge a path that honors the fullest potential of the state of Israel, a place where we wrestle with God, a place where we confront hatred and destruction, a place of courage and creativity, boldness and beauty. Adonai Eloheinu Mekor Tikva, eternal our God, source of hope. May Israel be a place where all Jews have equality and opportunity. May Israel be a place where all the children of Abraham find dignity and respect. God bless all those in elected office. Bless those in the Israel Defense Forces. Bless all those in positions of leadership and responsibility. May the highest democratic ideals be honored and realized. God bless our partners in Modi'in and Rehovot and in the Israeli Reform Movement. Bless our children who have built lives and families throughout the land. Bless the educators, poets, musicians, artists, and scholars. Bless all those who take inspiration from the land and create beauty. Adonai Eloheinu Mekor Tikva, eternal our God, source of hope. May we each be blessed to find a unique path of ascent. May we each find our own connection to all the peoples of the land. Together, may we create a place of enduring peace. Just as God opened Moses' eyes and allowed him to see the fullness of the land, let us pursue a vision of an Israel that is a place of hope, equality, safety, and peace. And together we say, Amen. And while we offer these words of blessing for the state of Israel, we also offer words of blessing for anyone who is in need of healing, whether it be healing of our mind, of our body, or of our spirits. We'll turn to page 253 as we sing together these words of blessing.
Avotenu mekor habracha limotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Amen. Yishabeirach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
As I shared earlier, it's my hope that during this time together, we'll have an opportunity to think about this idea of remembering, Zachor. So I am going to pass out some texts that we are going to look at together and think about what this idea of Zachor means to us and what it means in the context of Yom HaShoah, Yom HaZikaron, and Yom HaTzmaut, these holidays celebrated in the state of Israel and all over the world by Jews in diaspora communities. So our holidays this week are newer Jewish holidays. They are holidays that are created based on the creation of the state of Israel, and obviously events that happened within somewhat recent history. Israel is only 75 years old, or will only be 75 years old. And the Holocaust, obviously, happened within that same time frame, right? 80 to 85 years ago. So we're talking about, in Jewish history, relatively recent history. And these holidays that were created, Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day, specifically happens the week before Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day, and Yom HaTzmaut, the Independence Day. And I think there's a purpose behind that. And I think part of that purpose revolves around this idea of remembering, of Zachor, that without remembering the atrocities of the Holocaust and remembering the people and the memories of the people who died in the Holocaust, that we can't possibly celebrate the blessings of the modern state of Israel. So I'd like to think a little bit about Zachor. What is this idea of remember? We remember on Yom HaShoah, on Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Israel, and then a week later on Yom HaZikaron, which has that same root of Zachor, we remember those who lost their lives fighting on behalf of the modern state of Israel. So there's a lot of memory that's wrapped up in these couple weeks of holidays. And just before Yom HaShoah, just 2 weeks ago, we celebrated Passover, a story of and a reminder of one of the kind of foundational narratives of us as Jewish people, the story of the Exodus from Egypt. So there's a lot of Zachor, there's a lot of remembering that happens. So I want to look at 3 texts from the Torah. The first is Exodus 20, verse 8. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. So that's the first text. The second is Deuteronomy, chapter 5, verse 15. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and Adonai your God freed you with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. The third also comes from Deuteronomy, chapter 25, verse 17. Remember what Amalek did to you on your journey. And when we say, and when the Torah says that we remember Amalek, we remember those who were against the Israelites, who tried to stop them on their path to freedom, on their path to the promised land. And so Amalek means really, essentially, those who tried to prevent the Israelites from essentially becoming the people of Israel. So I'm going to ask you here in this room, and those who are online, you are welcome to respond online, and I'll look at it later. What do you think these 3 texts have to do with remembering? How are they similar? How are they different? What do you think we are learning about this idea of Zachor from these texts? Okay, Shabbat as a commandment. Okay, so it's a commandment, but we're commanded to remember the Sabbath day, right? Zachor is the actual command. So it is a commandment, and Zachor is the command that's used to remind us about Shabbat, to remind us to remember Shabbat. So a question might be, what does it mean to remember Shabbat? So Joe, you're pointing out it's a reminder of what God did to us, what God gave to us, right? Shabbat got us out of slavery and essentially allowed us to move past obstacles, right? Amalek being an adversary of the Israelites. Anything else? How these three might be related, or how these connect to maybe your idea of remembering? Yeah, Marty.
I think that is a lesson that we have to learn, that we should never forget, and that we learned by the lessons of humanity and history, that when you move on, to never forget. It's important to remember the loved ones that suffered during those times.
Yeah, so we have to remember to never forget, and that we have to learn from our history. And part of the way that we do that is by remembering people who came before us, whether it might be family members and their stories, or a lot of what we talk about on Yom HaShoah and around the Holocaust is remembering people who have no one to tell their stories, whose families were completely wiped out, and they don't have someone to share their stories. So we are their family, and we share their stories, and we remember them. So there's an article on, why am I blanking on the name of the website? My Jewish Learning. That's what I get for not writing things down. My Jewish Learning. And it's on the importance of remembering. And it's specifically in relationship to the Holocaust and how we remember the Holocaust, and what that means to us today. There was a point in Jewish history, post-Holocaust, post-World War II, people came to America, Jews who were living in America, and a common theme became, we're Jewish because of the Holocaust, right? And we need to keep being Jewish because they tried to stop us from being Jewish. They tried to kill us because of who we are, and so that's why we need to continue to be Jewish. So I'm going to read what Leslie Koppelman-Ross wrote. And it says, what we have to keep in mind in recalling the Holocaust is that memory must function, as it does in the Bible, as a positive force. It should not be used to inflict guilt and exact vengeance, and certainly should not be, as unfortunately occurs, the defining element of Jewish life. We cannot raise our children to be healthy, constructive Jews by cowering them with expectations that the anti-Semitic world will force Jewish identification on them. Being Jewish mainly because the Holocaust happened or because anti-Semitism continues is not sufficient reason to hang on to a culture. So this is a big statement, I think, and I'm wondering what your reaction is. There's an importance to remember, and I think here Ross is making the argument that the Holocaust can't be the only reason why we continue to be Jewish and continue to live Jewish lives. So I'm curious your responses to that statement, or how this impacts your thinking around remembering. Yeah, David. Yeah, so remembering is an active pursuit, right? The Holocaust is something that happened to us. Judaism and how we continue is by actively seeking out Jewish life and by actively participating in Jewish life. And it can't only be, the only reason can't be because the Holocaust happened or because anti-Semitism still occurs today. But that we do remember, and that I love what is said here in the first sentence, that memory must function as a positive force, right? We remember slavery. We remember our story of this exodus from Egypt in the Bible every day in our liturgy and every year at Passover, and it's meant to be a happy occasion, even though we're remembering things that were probably very challenging when they were happening in the moment. So the last text that I want to look at right now, and I'll leave you to look at the text from Rabbi Levy on your own, is from the Baal Shem Tov. who says, forgetfulness leads to exile, while remembrance is the secret of redemption. So this idea that when we forget is when we are in exile. When we remember, it's when we lead ourselves and each other to redemption, to a world of freedom, to a world of hope, and all of the possibilities that lie within that. So on this Shabbat, I hope that you all take into consideration how you remember and what and how that memory leads you to your own sense of redemption. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue on page 282. You may rise in body or spirit, the words of Aleinu on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ועושה ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים, הוא אלוהינו אין עוד. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Page 287.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may be seated. We'll continue on page 291 with words that come from an Israeli poet, Yesh Kochavim, there are stars up above.
There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we love. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. יש כוכבים שאורם מגיע ארצה, רק כאשר הם עצמם עבדו בינם. יש אנשים שזיו זכרם מאיר, כאשר הם עצמם אינם עוד בתוכנו. אלה המבהיקים בחשכת הליל, הם שמראים לאדם את הדרך, הם שמראים לאדם את הדרך.
Our thoughts turn to those whom have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This evening, the Sukkot Shalom community remembers Jerry Goldberg, Max Cherner, Aline Lappin-Stolberg, Edward Kohler, Harold Lieberman, Alvin Doppelt, Mina Skadron, Susan Pinzoff, Louis Kolpas, Dr. Charles Empson, Grace Gallens, Lawrence Heimlich, Lawrence Douglas Freed, Renee Kluger-Subrin, Nancy Jacobs, Sheldon Friedman. Are there any other names that you would like to recall this evening? We'll turn to page 294 as we rise together for the words of Kadisha Tome, Mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ba'alma divrach yurtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'elam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitale v'yitalal, shmei d'kudashah b'reichu, le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, dam yiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, v'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories be an abiding blessing.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, v'ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru amen.
You may be seated. Just a couple of announcements. On Tuesday, April 25th, we hope you'll join us at 7 p.m. at the Bottle Shop here in Wilmette for an Israeli wine tasting in honor of Israel's Independence Day. We hope you'll join us on Sunday, April 30th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. here for our Family School Open House. And on the weekend of May 5th through 7th, we hope you'll join us for my farewell celebration on Shabbat on May 5th, a movie screening of the documentary The Jewish Jail Lady and the Holy Thief on Saturday evening, and then again with a teaching at Caffeine for the Brain at Family School on Sunday with Rabbi Borowitz and Harriet Rosetto, who will speak about their work in the addiction recovery community. In just a moment, we are going to sing one final song, and then we'll head out to the foyer and do a little Kiddush and Motzi. We hope that you'll stay for a little treat.
Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Please join us in the lobby for a little oneg.
Okay.